What's up guys, welcome back to another video, and on today's video I'm going to be doing a breakdown and analysis of the match between Real Madrid and Valencia. Without further ado, let's get into the video. So the first Valencia goal came from a set piece, which doesn't really come as a surprise to me at all. We've been very poor with defending set pieces all season, and if you go back and watch all my videos, you're going to notice a pattern. So this isn't something that comes as a surprise to me. And if you're a gambling man, maybe this is something that you could actually put money on, because we seem to concede a lot from set pieces. So in this situation, we seem to have deployed the sort of semi-zonal and semi-man marking. Here you have Modric, you have I think Brahim and Fran marking this for Valencia players, and here you have Rudiger, Tchouaméni, Valverde, and Bellingham in the line here. They're not really looking back, apart from maybe Rudiger. You can kind of see what's going on here. They've all just kind of got their eye on the ball. Now, here's a problem with this. Now, I have stated in the past that I do prefer zonal marking, but the thing is, when you're marking zonally, you still need to be able to see the opponents to kind of know where they're going to be making a run. Now, maybe this trip, and this is why I despise man marking, because let's be honest, none of these three Madrid players in this situation did anything to stop any of these Valencia players from making a run. So I don't know what our set piece coach, I don't know what he's teaching them, I don't know what they're working on, but it is clearly not effective if we keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again. Now, in terms of physicality, the Valencia team is not much more physical than our team. You know, they don't really have a more imposing presence than our players, but it just looks like they're well coached and they were able to exploit an obvious weakness. The thing is, if you're going to be doing the zonal marking, you still need the players to be aware of their surrounding. They need to be aware of where the ball might end up, who's going to be moving into that area, so that they can more effectively attack and clear the ball. And basically what happens here is, number one, it was a fantastic delivery into the box, but the ball gets played in between Tchouaméni and Rudiger, and even though both of them are zonal marking, neither of them got to the ball ahead of the Valencia player. So what is the point of you being there? All the players in the front misjudged the height of the ball. Now, in all fairness, it isn't their responsibility, that's not their zone, because if the ball comes near post, it is their job to win it. But the ball completely goes over all their head. So when the ball comes between Tchouaméni and Rudiger, one of them needs to be winning the ball. The three players that were man marking made zero impact in stopping the runners, and they were able to get into a dangerous position and score. So, in my opinion, this is just, again, poor tactically from Real Madrid. You know, these kind of goals, you can concede them once in a while, but we seem to concede this on a regular basis. So I don't think this goal is actually anything good that Valencia did, if you know what I'm saying. Now, again, fantastic delivery into the box, but the defending, as we've seen on multiple occasions, has been very poor. So in my opinion, this goal was due to poor defending. So as you can see, when this ball is whipped in, this is the number 4 that scored the goal. He's going to make a run into this position, and look, Rudiger hasn't got an eye on him. He doesn't even know that there's someone coming. He doesn't know that there's someone actually like coming to attack the ball and to try and win the header. He's solely got his eye on the ball. But when you have your eye on the ball, then you should be thinking, in my head, I'm going to get up high and I'm going to win this. And there's also a lack of communication between him and Tchouaméni, because I can understand that maybe in this situation, he sees Tchouaméni jump for the ball and he maybe thinks Tchouaméni is going to get and head onto it. So he only half commits to the ball. But that's an excuse that you're making for a world-class defender playing at the top of his game. You shouldn't be making this type of schoolboy errors. You should be commanding in the box. You know, when the ball comes into your area as a defender, it is your duty to go and win the ball. And this is just not good enough, because it's happening consistently. And Rudiger is about what, 6'2", 6'3". You know, this is not something that should be happening over and over. And as we can see in this position, Rudiger doesn't even get off the ground. Like, his feet are solely planted on the floor, and look how high this number 4 gets. Like, there was zero chance for him to, like, you need to be jumping, you need to be competing. I don't understand why I don't care if it thinks Tchouaméni might win the ball. As a centre back, you need to be commanding and you need to be going for this. This goal is completely poor defending. There is nothing you can do to convince me otherwise. The set piece defending has been just so poor all season. That's it. Okay, so we're going to move on to the next goal. So the goal that we scored also came from a corner. Now, as you can see here, the Valencia team is also deploying this sort of semi-zonal / man marking. But their shape looks a lot better than ours. Now, this goal does come because Bellingham makes a nice run in here. The cross wasn't deep enough and he gets a nice flick on. Vinicius manages to get a little bit of space free at the back post and is able to put it in. There's not really much I can say about this. Again, this corners are very, very hard to kind of analyze because anything can happen. What I can say is that it was a nice flick on by Bellingham and Vinicius just happened to be free. I don't really think that this was something that was particularly worked on, if you know what I'm saying, because a lot of times we barely even get our head onto the ball. Our crosses have been so poor this season. It's either hit too shallow and doesn't beat the first man, or it's hit straight into the hands of the goalkeeper. So it was nice to see something come up for us here. And I don't think this was poor defending from the part of the Valencia team because, like I said, in this position, you can see that the shape is actually kind of good. Every player is kind of marked as somebody kind of watching them. It just so happens that when Bellingham gets that flick on, Vinicius just happens to get in between the fullback at the back post and he was able to get a tap in. So, in my opinion, this wasn't bad defending or good attacking. It was just a fortunate goal. Okay, so we're going to move on to the last goal. Okay, so for the last goal scored by Valencia, this kind of happened after a period of sustained pressure from them. We were pushed up very high trying to get the winner and we got caught lacking in defense. You can see here in this picture, the Valencia player gets the ball and we just kind of have like three people in the back line with one of them not being a center back. Alaba's the center back that was brought on, but he actually came on a full back for Fran Garcia. Rudiger has been pushed up very high at this point, trying to kind of get the winner, trying to score a header. So that leaves a huge gap in defense. And you can see here that Tchouaméni is actually the center back, but he's up here trying to win the ball. And that leaves Camavinga in this kind of position. Valverde is here and he's also just kind of falling asleep. This number 16 plays a lovely through ball in. Now, the one thing I can say is that maybe if the keeper had been a little bit quicker, maybe just anticipated the danger a little bit more, he might have won this ball because this ball was definitely hit with a lot of power. I wouldn't say it was the best ball, but the keeper is clearly on his line, but I'm not going to be too harsh on him because he's making his debut. He's a very young keeper. So these are the kind of things that maybe you can learn in the future. But who I am going to be criticizing in this position is Alaba because Alaba, I think, should have been the one chasing this, not Camavinga. Because when this ball was actually played, he was closest to the guy that the ball was played to. Yet for some reason, he seems to have come this way, did a U-turn to go around to follow this player. And I know he's probably doing it because he sees Camavinga running here, but Camavinga should have been making a run to mark this player instead. Not going out to chase this player because he was never getting near it. And we kind of just get left exposed at the back. There's no one marking this player. He is in absolute acres of space. Valverde also kind of just falls asleep here because he was the closest to this man. So I don't know how there's this much separation between him and the man after only a second. So, but again, I can forgive Valverde as well because he runs his heart out all game and he probably just got caught lacking here. It's still not good enough, but I can just understand why it happens. But someone like Alaba and Camavinga, who only came on in the second half, you would expect them to be fresher. You would expect them to be able to actually make up for this deficit. But ultimately, they weren't able to do that and it cost us dearly. Now, what I will say is that this ball from the Valencia player was absolutely lovely. Like, it was a brilliant first time ball. It doesn't delay, it doesn't hesitate. He gets to this ball and he plays it first time. And this was vital because if he had delayed this cross just a little bit longer, that would have given Alaba a little bit more time to be able to get into space and to be able to get maybe head onto it or just put off the player that scored. So this was a very good ball. I'm not going to be wishy-washy about it. You just have to appreciate a good ball when you see one, but this was definitely poor defending, coming from lack of concentration, coming from the fact that, the team was pushed up high trying to get the winner. They lost possession and they got punished for it. So that's my breakdown of the game. If you think there's anything I missed, please leave a comment in the video. Please like and subscribe if you like the video, and peace.